keeping up with our motto, let learning be a joy and teaching a pleasure. Here we are with a remote teaching and learning process to bridge the gap. Happy learning, students!
Students, today we are going to see the chapter from Science and Technology Part 1. Chapter number 9, that is carbon compounds. Students, we have already seen the earlier parts of this topic in which we have covered the topics like carbon compounds, hydrocarbons, straight chain, branch chain and rings of carbon compounds, functional groups, homologous series, chemical properties of carbon compounds, and some important carbon compounds, that is ethanol and acetic acid with its properties. Today we are going to see the last part of this topic in which we are going to discuss about macromolecules and polymers. Coming on to the part of macromolecules and polymers. Macromolecules are the large molecules, but to form these molecules we start with a small atom. Giant carbon molecules can be formed from hundreds of thousands of atoms. Yes, so these atoms combines and gives us a molecule, and this molecules combines and gives us a macromolecules. So macromolecules are the giant carbon molecules which is formed from hundreds and thousands of atoms. Now, these macromolecules are from the type of compounds called polymers. Now, these polymers or these macromolecules are classified in two types. The first is a natural macromolecules. The natural molecules, namely, we get it from polysaccharides, proteins, nucleic acids, are the supporting pillars of the living world, and the molecules which we get it from this are called as macromolecules, whereas the second is man-made macromolecules. Man-made macromolecules were produced for the first time in the laboratory and factory with an intention to invent an alternative for rubber and silk. Today, man-made macromolecules are used in every walk of life. So these are the two categories of macromolecules, that is natural macromolecules and man-made macromolecules. Both these two categories are included in the part called as polymers. So polymers are basically a macromolecule, that is a large molecule which is formed by regular repetition of a small unit is called as polymer, and that small unit which forms a polymer is called as monomer. So monomer is basically a small unit which combines and forms a polymer, and a macromolecule which is formed by regular repetition of a small unit, that is polymer, is called as polymerization. So polymerization is a reaction by which a monomer molecules are converted into polymer. That process is called as polymerization. Now, in this part, we are going to see some use of the polymers which are used in large scale. So here we have got a table in which we are going to see some polymers and their common uses. Starting with the first one is polyethylene, a very common known substance. This is the structure of polyethylene. Now this is the polyethylene which we are using it in polythene bags, that is a plastic carry bags and sportswear. The next example is polystyrene. Polystyrene is actually used in thermocol articles. The third one is polyvinyl chloride, commonly known as PVC. This is the structure of it. This PVC is mainly used in pipes, which you called as PVC pipes, and doormats, tubes, and bags in hospital kits. So these are the three polymers which have been commonly used. The next three polymers are as follows. The next polymer which we are going to discuss is polyacrylonitrile. This is the structure of polyacrylonitrile, the monomer from which this substance is formed. This is used in winter clothing blankets. The next is Teflon. Teflon is the most common substance which you heard it in non-stick cookware. So all the non-stick cookware nowadays get a Teflon coating. The next is polypropylene. This is the structure of this polypropylene. This polypropylene is used in injection, syringes, and furnitures. So these are the examples of the polymers which are formed by repetition of a single monomer. These are called homopolymers. The other type of polymers are formed from two or more monomers and they are called copolymer. The example of that is PET, which is commonly called as polyethylene terephthalate. So that is about the various polymers and their uses. The composition and the structure of natural polymers after carrying out their decomposition, the compositions of main natural polymer is given in the table here. So these are the examples of natural polymers. The first is polysaccharides. The monomer which is used is glucose and it is obtained from starch. The next polymer is cellulose. The monomer from which it is obtained is again glucose and it is occurred from wood, that is cell walls of plant cells. The next is about proteins, a well-known polymer which is formed from a monomer, that is alpha amino acids, which is used in muscles, hairs, enzymes, skins and egg, which we get it from. The next is DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid. The monomer for that is nucleotide based deoxyribose phosphate. We get it from chromosomes of animals. The next is RNA, that is ribonucleic acid. The monomer is nucleotide base ribophosphate. It is occurred from the chromosomes of plants. And the last is rubber. The monomer is isopropene. And this we occurs from latex of rubber tree. So these are the examples of few polymers, synthetic polymers and natural polymers and their uses and occurrence. This is all from this topic. Thank you, dear students.